and welcome back. This is Penny Sansevere with Author Marketing Experts, and today we're going to talk about doing events outside the bookstore. Now, if you've struggled to get events in the bookstore, any of the bookstore chains, there's probably a reason for that, because bookstores are really dependent in some seasons on doing a lot of high-profile author events and author events that are going to really drive them traffic. And bookstores don't always think that us fabulous independent authors or authors who don't necessarily have a significant platform are going to drive the kind of traffic that they need. So it's really more of a business decision with them. It's not necessarily personal, although it feels very personal when you're getting that no, doesn't it? What I recommend is that you start looking outside the bookstore. And so many years ago when I first started Author Marketing Experts, I realized that we were looking at a huge surge of self-published authors, and so we were looking at doing events that were significantly different than just in bookstores. Consequently, we ended up booking events in all of these external venues like coffee shops and Starbucks and Pete's and grocery stores and gyms and restaurants, and the list is really endless. So it's really just a matter of finding a venue that's appropriate to your book, and it doesn't necessarily have to be appropriate in topic. So you don't have to do a cookbook, let's say, in a restaurant, or a book about coffee in a coffee shop, but it does help to some extent. So for example, we had a book once that was how to pair the perfect wine with the right movie, and I placed her at a local Blockbuster Video, and they loved it, and they actually had her back and kept her book stocked there and whatnot. And a lot of these stores, even though they're owned by big corporations, can do this at the local level. So that's the first rule of thumb, is finding the appropriate venue. Find a venue that's going to be open to what you're doing. You're going to have to educate them a little bit, because many of these venues are not familiar with dealing with author events. So they're going to really want to know, what's in it for them. So you're going to have to sort of sell them on the benefits of, that you're going to market it to your list and bring people in and whatnot. And then you're probably going to have to be a little flexible on the books. So you're going to have to offer the books on consignment. You may have to, order them directly from the publisher yourself, or if you're the publisher, you're going to have to bring them in and make sure to invoice them and whatnot. So there's a little bit more legwork, but it's huge payoff if you can pull this off. The other thing is that when you're looking at doing events tied to big corporations, go to the local level first, because if you try to go through corporate like Starbucks or Hallmark or whatnot, you're going to find that you have to go through a lot of red tape, there's a lot of paperwork and all of this other stuff, and most of the stores have the ability to plan a certain number of events at a local level. So sometimes they can do 1 to 2 events a month or a few a year or something like that. It varies from store to store. The other thing is when you're looking at doing events in these stores, remember that if you're sitting, let's say, in a strip mall or in a mall or something, and you're doing an event, let's say, in a card shop or something, or a gift store, you can involve all of the other stores in this process of promotion by offering them bag stuffers and posters and things like that. So you can really drive some traffic to the store that was flexible enough and open enough to have your event. So think about, some of the venues that are local in your area. I also have an article on our blog that I will link to at the end of this piece, and you can sort of read a little bit more about it and some of the ins and outs of marketing your book in non-bookstore venues. But we've done it for years. I love it. I think it's a fabulous way to get yourself out there in more venues. And what happens is, especially if you're sitting in a very closed and tight bookstore market, is it really opens up the possibility of getting you events and helping to broaden your speaking. And I'll tell you something, I did this when I first started out, and I did events because I couldn't get events. I had a couple of events in bookstores, but that was pretty much it. And I ended up doing events in non-bookstore markets, and it went really well, and it helped me to launch other events that I did in other cities, and then obviously then the speaking followed and whatnot. So one thing tends to lead to another, but you got to start somewhere. So if bookstores are saying no, look outside the bookstore. I think you'll be glad you did. This is Penny Sansevere with Author Marketing Experts. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.